All right, welcome. Today we're jumping into Exodus 39. Now, this chapter is fascinating. It's less of a story and more like we've stumbled into a master craftsman's workshop. We get to see exactly how divine instructions were turned into something real, something breathtaking. So let's get right to it.
But here's the thing. We're actually going to start at the very end with these 4 simple words. And Moses blessed them. I mean, think about that. A blessing. That's the ultimate seal of approval on this massive project. So the question is, what kind of work, what incredible level of detail and dedication could possibly earn that kind of final word? Well, that's what we're here to figure out.
And that really brings us to the core question here. How do you craft the sacred? I mean, it's one thing to have a divine plan, right? But how do you actually turn it into something you can touch? How do you take regular materials and shape them into objects that are considered holy? This chapter, believe it or not, walks us through every single step. Okay, so first up, the commission. The task is to create the holy garments for Aaron, the high priest. And let's be clear, this isn't just about making clothes. No, this is symbolic regalia, designed specifically for service in the holy place. And the instructions? They are incredibly precise, right down to the very materials they had to use.
So here's the palette they're working with. You've got this vibrant mix of blue, purple, and scarlet threads all woven into fine linen. And then there's gold. But not just as, a little bit of trim. We're talking gold as a core material woven directly into the fabric itself. Can you imagine the skill that would take? It's just extraordinary.
Which brings us to the first major piece, the ephod. It's described as being made with cunning work. I love that phrase. It doesn't just mean skilled, it implies real artistry, a deep, almost clever kind of creativity. So let's take a look at what that actually involved. And this is where it gets really interesting, because we see exactly what that cunning work means in practice. I mean, they didn't just have spools of gold thread lying around. The artisans had to make it. So step 1, take pure gold and beat it into super thin sheets. Then, painstakingly cut those sheets into fine wires. And only then could they even begin to weave. It's this incredible, labor-intensive process where you realize the method was just as important as the material. And then we get this phrase. You're going to see it pop up again and again throughout this chapter, almost like a chorus in a song. It's the ultimate quality control check. It tells us that every single step, from beating the gold to weaving the thread, was done in perfect alignment with that original divine blueprint.
So the ephod itself is made of 2 main parts. First, you have the woven garment with all those amazing colors on the gold thread. But then, set right on the shoulders are these 2 onyx stones. And they're not just decorative. Each stone is engraved like a signet ring with the names of the tribes of Israel. The text calls them stones for a memorial, which means the high priest was literally, symbolically carrying the entire nation on his shoulders.
Now, attached to that ephod is maybe the most spectacular piece of the whole ensemble, the breastplate. If the shoulder stones represented the nation, the breastplate puts that nation front and center in this absolutely dazzling display of color and meaning.
And just look at the sheer detail involved here. 12 precious gemstones, every single one distinct, all set in 4 perfect rows. The text lists them in this exact order, creating this incredible rainbow of stones, all set in gold. And of course, that number, 12, is no accident. Each of those 12 stones was engraved with the name of one of the 12 tribes of Israel. So the breastplate wasn't just some beautiful piece of jewelry. It was basically a map of the entire community. It was a symbol of a unified people brought together before God. And putting this thing together was just as intricate as the design itself. It was secured with this complex system of gold chains, rings, and a blue cord, binding it firmly to the ephod so that, and this is a direct quote, it could not be loosed. Every detail was about creating something permanent, something stable. It really shows that the process of attaching it was just as important as the piece itself.
And there's that refrain again. For this incredibly complex, multi-part, jeweled centerpiece, the standard is exactly the same. It was made precisely according to the command. No room for improvisation, no artistic license. Just perfect, faithful execution.
So, beyond the ephod and the breastplate, the other garments had these amazing details designed to engage the senses, specifically sight and sound. This detail is just fascinating. Check this out.
The hem of the high priest's blue robe was decorated with an alternating pattern of embroidered pomegranates and tiny little bells made of pure gold. What does that mean? It means the priest's movements were audible. His presence in the holy place would literally be announced by this unique, sacred sound.
So you have the sound of the robe, and then in contrast, you have the powerful visual statement of the crown, or the mitre. It was a turban made of fine linen, but right on the forehead, fastened for everyone to see, was a shining plate of pure gold, a really clear, impossible-to-miss focal point.
And engraved right on that golden plate was this powerful declaration, "Holiness to the Lord." I mean, that's the mission statement, right there. It's the purpose for the priest, for the garments, for the entire tabernacle. It's the ultimate headline, a clear, visible proclamation of purpose. So from the robe with its bells, to the crown with its inscription, even down to the simpler tunics and girdles for Aaron and his sons, every single piece, down to the last stitch, met that same unwavering standard, perfect obedience to the plan.
Okay, so now the camera kind of pulls back. We zoom out from the garments to the grand finale. Because these artisans didn't just sew, they built everything. The whole portable sanctuary, the tabernacle. And with all the individual pieces finally finished, it was time to bring it all together.
And the final inventory is just breathtaking. It's this incredible list of everything they made. They present the tent itself, with all its boards, bars, and pillars, the Ark of the Testimony, the table for the special bread, the golden candlestick, both altars, the basin, all the curtains, the cords. I mean, it goes on, right down to the very last pin. Every single component is finished and accounted for. So after all of that meticulous work, after this massive inventory of creation, the project finally reaches its conclusion. From the tiniest golden bell to the largest structural board, the text declares, "The work is finished."
And this brings us right back to where we started. All the finished work, every last cord and pin is brought to Moses. It's time for the final inspection. This is the moment where the craftsmanship is measured against the original blueprint.
And here it is, the verdict. Moses looks over every single thing, and the text really emphasizes what he finds. Behold, they had done it as the Lord had commanded. Not just that they got it done, but that they did it exactly as commanded. It was this perfect faithfulness to the plan, this flawless execution of all that cunning work that led directly to those final, powerful words, "And Moses blessed them."
Which leaves us with one final thought to chew on. You know, this ancient story is this remarkable account of building a sacred space, for sure. But it's also a really profound meditation on the work itself. And it kind of makes you ask yourself, right? When is the process, the way we do something, the attention to detail, the integrity we bring to it, when does that become just as meaningful, or maybe even more meaningful than the final thing we create?